Okay, so Monica, this week I'm so excited. We have an amazing guest. It is jkitscole on TikTok and Instagram. He is amazing. He is an astrologer and just like the funniest person ever. And he also roasts our astrological signs.
Yes.
Which is fantastic because I'm a Cancer. What are you? Are you a Libra?
I'm a Libra.
There we go. Look at me. Knowing my friends. knowing their signs. Yeah, and I'm just super excited. But first, you and Cole actually have something in common. Something horrible in common that fascinates me, that I will always ask you about. But Monica, can you please share? I know that you have another sleep paralysis story. My favorite thing, collabs all around, sleep paralysis story, Monica, please.
Yes, it is Monica's sleep paralysis minute of a minute of paralyzing fear, literally.
I'm so sorry. I know it brings you like a lot of pain and exhaustion, but I find it so fascinating.
I mean, a little bit of me is like, it makes me interesting.
Yeah.
Even though I'm suffering.
It makes you interesting. No, it's good. Suffer for your art or whatever. Your art being this podcast.
Woo. Okay, so my most recent sleep paralysis thing. So we know I have my cat Emo, cutest cat in the world. Don't even fight me about it.
We love Emo.
And I was taking a nap, which is when it gets the worst, even though I love to nap. But that's when it's the worst. I love to nap.
You do love nap.
But that's when it makes it the worst.
Yeah.
So I'm on my couch and my eyes must be open because I'm looking, the dream is Emo's cat tower, which is a beautiful pink cat tower that matches my apartment perfectly. And there is, Emo is sitting on the cat tower looking at me.
Okay.
So he's sitting up and he's looking at me. And then there is a second Emo that like walks in from the corner. This Emo does not have a head.
What do you mean, Monica? What does that mean? What do you mean it doesn't have a head?
It doesn't have a head.
But it's fine. It's like not, it's
no,
okay.
No, it's not like bloody and gross.
Right,
There's just
okay.
nothing there. It's kind of like cartoony in a way.
It like fuzzed over with fur?
Yeah, it's fuzzed over. There's no hole.
Okay,
it's just
checking.
Like fuzzed, furred over.
Furred over. Okay. Makes sense to me when I said that.
Picture it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
gross.
Emo number 2 comes in, has no head.
Great.
It walks up to the tower. It jumps on the tower, but one tier below where other Emo is sitting. So they're like this.
Yeah.
And headless Emo.
I don't love that. Don't say that again.
Headless Emo.
No, I don't like it.
Reaches out with a paw, grabs first Emo's head, takes it off, and puts it where his head wasn't. So that now he has a head and other Emo does not have a head.
Okay. You said it's cartoony.
It was kind of like like a weird, scary Mickey Mouse cartoon from the 50s.
I heard that in my head when you were saying that. Like before you did the little music, I did think of that music. So that's weird. But I don't love that. But it wasn't scary.
I mean, this one I was just like, what is happening? And I like wanted to get up to like intervene and I couldn't.
Yeah.
So that was the paralysis part.
But like, what if you lost your head? What if the cat's like, now I'm a cat?
Now I
like,
want yours.
Yeah, with like a human head. Like Mars Attacks, the movie that we fucking hate.
I hate that movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So that sounds fun, Monica.
Yeah, and then Emo that now has a head that previously did not have a head just like prances away into my kitchen, and then Emo without a head is just still sitting in the same spot.
So do you now like love having the head Emo? Like just like, is that now your cat?
I don't know.
Because it's like the head is kind of an important part.
The head is an important part.
You know?
That's where the personality is, and ideally the brain.
Right.
Unless you're a cockroach, then you have 2 and one's in your stomach.
I hate cockroaches. I never want to hear about them. Never mention them again.
But you know so much about them.
I do.
Fun fact about Kaitlin is she is a cockroach connoisseur of information.
I know more about them than I need to because I've had to kill a lot of them in my lifetime and in my apartments.
And sometimes they just follow her and wind up dead. That's another fun fact.
Oh my God, that was so okay. So I realize that none of you know what I'm talking about. When I used to live in the apartment that the house, we are so fancy, that Monica and I shared, in the mornings, I would just wake up sometimes. There would just be a cockroach dead on the ground in my bedroom.
A warning.
I would have to just throw it away. And it's horrible. And I hate it a lot. Anyway. I realized that I'm like, I know that this is the point of the podcast, talking about the things that we're afraid of, but sometimes it's too much. Sometimes it gets too dark. I do have a story about cats, though, and cat switching, which is more relevant.
That is incredibly specific.
Yeah. So this is my cat switching story, which is not as dramatic as yours, but it did really happen. My grandparents used to have an orange cat named Pumpkin, who was not like the nicest cat to me, but like overall, like love Pumpkin, R.I.P. Like
R.I.P. Pumpkin.
Yeah, R.I.P. Pumpkin. But one day, it's like the middle of the night. Hate it. Right? Yeah.
Hate
exactly.
it. Already hate it.
Any story that starts this way. What am I trying to say? My grandparents hear a noise in the middle of the night, and they go down to the basement, and they're like, okay, what's going on? They see Pumpkin in their basement, and he's like howling or whatever, making a bunch of noise, and they're like, weird, okay. Anyway, then they go into like the kitchen, and like Pumpkin is there.
Oh no.
There are 2 orange cats.
No.
A cat basically broke into their house that looked exactly like their first cat.
Did they keep it for Pumpkin too?
No, they didn't keep it. I actually don't know what happened to it. And I realized that would have been a better end to the story if they had kept it or like given it away to like a sweet little girl who's always wanted a cat. But
no, it's probably good they didn't, because original Pumpkin was like, this Pumpkin is trying to replace me.
Yeah, it's body switching Pumpkin.
It was a body switch Pumpkin, and you don't want to keep that in your house.
I think that's fair. I didn't, you never know. You never know with cats.
You never know with cats.
Very shady.
I love my cat, but the potential for evil is so high, and I am fully aware of that.
Halloween, man. Halloween is right. Black cats everywhere. Being spooky.
It's Halloween every day in my house.
It is. You do have a lot of Halloween stuff. Yeah.
Do you want to bring in our guests?
Do I want to bring in our guest? I do want to bring in our guest, Monica. Thank you for asking. So this week we have an amazing guest who is also going to talk about sleep paralysis, astrology, not cats, I don't think.
Could always turn into cat conversation, though.
It could turn into cats. But anyway, welcome, Cole.
All right, Scaredy Chat listeners, this is the reason that you listen to this podcast, not because Kaitlin and I are talking about weird dreams we had, but because of our guests. And today we have someone I'm very excited to talk about because he knows all about our signs. And he's probably roasting you on Instagram and TikTok for yours. Everybody, meet Cole.
Hi, it is me, the problematic Gemini himself. Happy to be here on the Scaredy Chat.
Yes!
Cole, I'm married to a Gemini, so it's okay.
Oh, I'm sending you my prayers and my sorrows and my blessings.
It's all good. It's all good. But for a while, I'm on the cusp of Cancer and Gemini. So for a while, I was actually self-identifying more as a Gemini. So I understand. But I think I'm a Cancer.
Listen, if you ever want to come to the dark side, Geminis, we will always welcome you.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel like I could have some Gemini tendencies. I don't know. I read this like big takedown a couple of years ago in Cosmo that was like, don't worry if you're a Gemini. Like it's okay. Like I know that like everyone hates you, but you don't need to be I was like, oh, okay. I did not realize this reputation. It's crazy.
I thought it was Scorpios.
Yeah, Scorpios are like also, I think, the other ones that get a bad rep, but I don't know.
It's the two of us, Scorpios and Geminis. People hate us because they ain't us, is what I say.
I have some great friends who are Scorpios, so I think it's okay.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah.
Well, Cole, later in the podcast, we are definitely going to ask you to share your astrological gifts with us.
Oh, absolutely.
But for now, we want to talk about your fears and what you were afraid of as a kid and what you're still afraid of now.
Yeah. My favorite topic.
Love it. Let this be your therapy session for all your childhood fears. Sometimes we go really heavy and sometimes we keep it a lot lighter, but I am really curious where this fear comes from. So please, let's share.
Yeah, so my biggest fear is the fear of the ocean. And like just I don't even know if it's like the ocean per se, but it's like bodies of water that I can't see or touch the bottom of, because I love being in water. I love swimming. I love, bodyboarding, boogie boarding, whatever it is. But the second it gets too deep and I can't just like dip down a little bit and like see the bottom or touch the bottom, I'm like, am I allowed to swear?
Oh,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, what the fuck is underneath me? Like, what is happening? What is going on? why do people go into the water? Why do people go into the ocean, right?
We don't know what's in the ocean. How are we
No.
ever going to find out? We won't. There
I
could
don't
be
want
like
to. I'm
aliens
comfortable with
down
not
there.
knowing.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I'm curious. So, okay, you said that you like to go in the ocean now. You're like down to like stay by the shore. It's just like
Yeah.
the stillness of the
You gotta
going
be able to
deep
see
out.
the bottom.
If
Yeah.
I can see or touch, like, because I mean, some bodies of water are like murky, but if I
Yeah.
can like touch the bottom comfortably, like I love going down to, because I live in New York City, I love going down to like the Jersey Shore with some friends and like, oh, let's just like sit and like wade in the water for a little bit. That's fine. Like if I can like, dip and I was like, okay, the bottom is still there. It gets there's just that sweet spot of like, this is too deep. I don't know
Yeah.
what is in the water right now. If there's any potential for a shark to be there, I'm just like, get me out. I'm like, I cannot do it. But I love like sitting and looking at the ocean too. So it's like, it's like one of those like sick, twisted things where it's like, I think any horror movie lover can like agree with it, where it's like, I love watching scary movies because I love like, the adrenaline rush. I love the ocean because it's so fascinating, but it's equally as horrifying and equally as terrifying.
So like movies like Jaws, Anaconda, Deep Blue Sea. Are you into those, or are you like, I can't watch these water movies?
I can watch them because they're a little campier, right? Like the like the special effects aren't like as crazy, but what is it? Like 21 or 48 meters down or whatever the number is.
Yeah.
That one, I could not do that. I was watching it and I was like, this is literally my worst nightmare. Like you are like, that's why I like my friends like, we should go like, Shark Tank swimming one time. I was like, or I can just get drunk on the beach and watch you go out to a boat and potentially never see you again. That sounds fine.
Do you remember when this fear started? Like, was there a specific movie, a specific like childhood experience where you're like,
Yeah.
in my brain, this is what solidified that
It's bad
fear.
now. This
Now
is
it's
now a
bad.
bad thing.
I can remember the exact moment. I was like actually trying a couple of months ago to like think back. I was like, when did this happen? Like, why am I so scared of the ocean? And I was able to pinpoint it back to a moment when I was probably like maybe like 7, I'm gonna say, like somewhere in that like young age. And my babysitter, we were at her parents' house because my babysitters at the time were basically older sisters, still very, very close to them. And we were like fishing in like their parents' lake. And I remember I was just like trying to I had like a net and I was trying to get something out of the water. Like the little gay boy in me was like a flower or something like that. And out of nowhere, this huge bass just like comes up and like snatches the net out of my hands, like just like out of the water, out of nowhere, goes into the net and snatches it. And like the net wasn't lost, thankfully. Like it, got out of the net and was just like, on the edge. But I was like, that moment was so terrifying to me as a child because I was like, where did this giant fish come from? What else is underneath the surface that I cannot see?
That
And
is
it's
so
coming for me.
scary.
What else is down there that wants to kill me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Specifically.
Literally
Personal
everything.
vendetta. That's so
everything.
weird.
I mean, I have like a whole host of other fears that just like I have like I'm scared of everything, but I also love all the fears at the same time, right? Like I'm
like,
like
You're in good company.
Right,
You're in
I'm
good
not, like,
company.
I'm that horror movie buff where like when people are like, why do you like horror movies? I was like, because that adrenaline rush I get when I like have like there's a good jump scare and I didn't see it coming. Oh my God. Like that is like the best.
You can't beat it.
You can't
beat
it's
that
so
feeling.
intoxicating.
No.
People are like,
Yes.
you like to scare yourself? And I was like, I love to scare myself. I'm gonna
That's why
watch
I
a
feel
scary
alive.
right? I have a horror movie
Yeah.
club with one of my friends where every Tuesday, because it's discount movie night in New York City, we go see a new horror movie at the AMC.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
a
You
like,
want to join? We're joining.
we should
Absolutely.
just do that. Yeah. There's a discount. I think there's a discounts at AMC's on Tuesdays in LA also. So we
Yeah,
should do
it's so
that.
great.
Wait, so okay, you had said a host of other fears. Like, what are these other fears?
Yeah,
We won't
I think,
exploit
Yeah,
them. We
You
promise.
can't say
please
that and
exploit
not
them.
tell us what they are.
but please
Just for
exploit
comedy.
them. I would say the big one, like the number one fear besides the ocean is taxes. Just kidding.
know
It's
you.
heights. And it's not even like people are like, you're not scared of heights, you're scared of falling. I can be on the ground looking up at a skyscraper and just like, and I live in New York City. I'm always looking up at skyscrapers.
Yes.
Even being just like on the solid ground, like looking up at a skyscraper, I will get like like my entire body goes cold. And I'm like, huh, I can't. Well, I was like, I have to look down. The first time I went to Seattle, I was like, I'm doing the Space Needle. I'm doing the space. I have to do the Space Needle. And I will never do it again. I remember I did it, and I like walked to the edge, and I saw people like leaning against the edge, like, you know, to take a selfie, and I was like, you know what? I am
People
completely.
literally die that way. Just
They
saying.
do.
I was like, I am completely comfortable just like saying I'm up here. I'll go on the glass floor for a second, look down, have a panic attack, run off, and then get the hell out. And that's pretty much what I spent. Like I think I spent like 20 or 30 bucks to get up there. I think I spent 5 minutes up there. I was like, I'm done. I'm done
Fine.
with this. I can't do this.
But
Heights, get me.
once again, you head on faced your fear.
Yeah, I try my best, but you know, my grandma always said, you know, you can't say you don't like it till you've tried it. Well, Grandma, I don't like it.
I think falling from a skyscraper, you can say that you don't like it.
Yeah.
In advance. I don't know.
Safe bet. Safe bet you don't like that.
Not
Yeah.
a fun one at all.
No, I totally agree with you. I never used to dislike heights, but then the older that I got, the more I disliked them. I don't think I could like live on top of it. Like, I don't know how high up your building is, but
I'm on the second floor.
perfect. That's what I can do. Second floor, maybe third floor, but
Maybe
people who
third.
like I have a friend who lives in a high rise in LA, which are not that common, but she lives on like maybe like the 12th floor, something like that. And I'm like, ugh.
Double digits?
Yeah.
A double
like,
digit
no.
floor? Get me out of there.
No, I totally get that. Do you know why you're afraid of heights? Like, have you pinpointed it? 'Cause I know.
I
Please.
I fell out of a second story window when I was 2 years old.
Oh, so you have like
what?
It's
you
like
have
an
like
actual trauma thing.
right. You have a legitimate reason.
What?
I have like
Wait
an
a-
actual.
Yeah. Okay.
I've done like a lot of like past life regression type stuff and like, you know, psychic meditation, like all that, and like it is literally pinpointed like because you fell out of a window when you were 2, you are always going to have that fear of like what is underneath me, right? You know, and like what happens if that happens again. I'm like, cool, all right, can't change that one.
Yeah.
We just live with it.
Remember? Do you remember the fall? Do you remember the incident?
No. And not in the slightest, but apparently I was up and walking the next day and the doctors are like, yeah, he's perfectly fine. Like there's like no physical issue at all. My teachers in school used to say like, makes a lot of sense. Things are adding up now. When I would tell them like joking, like it would always be this is like the sick, twisted horror movie person in me. Like I'm that grungy kid that everyone would look at, be like, what's going on? Is he the killer in the movie? I'd be like, yeah, I fell out of a window when I was 2 casually, and everyone would be like, that's your fun fact? Usually we say we have a dog.
I have 2 dogs.
I fell
I
out of a window.
fell out of a window.
Right.
I think that's an amazing story though, but like the fact that you were just uninjured is like a little like, that's
Yeah.
somebody was protecting you. Something was going on
Yeah,
there. What's
some-
happening?
Some higher power. Thank the Lord.
That's crazy. Heights, water, which babies don't drink.
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
So
What?
you've-
Anything else that we're like, ooh, we can unpack?
In terms of like spooky, scary stuff, the only movies that ever get me are
Ooh.
like the possession demon type stuff. Right? Those
Interesting.
things are, and I actually experience sleep paralysis a lot of times, and I
That's my guess.
gets me.
too.
It gets me. And there have been moments where I've been in sleep paralysis and I've like consciously said to myself, if I don't wake up, I'm probably never going to wake up again. And I've had to rip myself out of sleep, throw myself on the floor. I've had like the same sleep paralysis demon like come to me tons of times in dreams. Like I'm a very witchy spiritual person, so like I don't take this stuff lightly, where I'm like, and it only ever happens when, and I hate this because I love a nap, when I take like a midday nap, but the midday nap,
It's the naps.
it like when it lasts longer than like an hour. If I take like a 2-3 hour midday nap, without fail,
Fucked. You're
I will go into sleep paralysis. I will see the demon. It'll say, "Hey girl, I'm back, coming for you. And I'll be like, wake up, my body. So that's why like any like the Conjuring series I'm obsessed with, but like that scares me because I'm like that I know that area of life. I know that world. Like any like the monster like horror like slasher type stuff. I'm like I love to watch them and I love to partake in them. But things like The Rite, I don't know if you've ever seen The Rite. That one messed me
No.
up
With
because
Anthony Hopkins, right? Am I
I
thinking of
think that's
this?
who's in it.
He was like
But
an
it's about
older man. I
yeah,
don't know.
it's based on a true story, as most horror movies are. But he's a priest who lets himself get possessed, and I'm like, if a priest can get possessed, what does that mean for me? I'm an absolute mess. Like, no, ma'am. So those types of like like the demon, like really deep occult stuff. Like, I don't fuck with Ouija boards at all. Like that's not something. And I have witchy friends who are like, no, it's not. It's like safe. It's fine. Like you just have to do good practice.
It's
So I was like,
the way you talk to them that
and
will determine.
I'm like, no, I don't want to talk to them. Thank you though.
Yeah. I also love the Conjuring movies, but they can be very freaky. Possession is not something that I've ever been that concerned about, but those movies will definitely make you concerned about it because apparently it happens like 10 times. There's like a million movies in that franchise.
Especially if you grew up with any kind of religion, because it's just like if you I grew up Catholic and like so then it's like these possession movies. It's like, well, fuck, they're coming for me specifically. They're coming for those of us who go to church. They're coming. The demons want us. Like
they're literally coming for us.
It's so funny because I did grow up Catholic. I did the confirmation like all the way through, and then by like 9th grade, I was like, just like, nah, we're done. I fulfilled the obligation to my parents. We had the brunch after the confirmation party, like whatever. It was all fine. But it's so funny. It's like I feel like my church was very like not like pretended all that stuff like didn't exist, kind of like. It was a very like all the walls in the church were white. It was a brand new church because the first one burned down.
Wait, did you see both of us were like, what?
An all white church? What?
It was like it was like the walls were white. There's like there was like light everywhere. It just didn't. It had like a very like
my church.
Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't, but the first church actually before it burned down was kind of the opposite. Now that I'm thinking about it, it was like a little bit more like wood paneling. Whatever. But we didn't talk. There's actually, it did burn down. So there was a lot of wood.
Yeah.
But it's so funny. Like, I feel like I never learned about the fun stuff, which was like the demon possession and stuff like that in my Catholic upbringing. And I do feel like I missed out on a lot of stuff, probably a lot of trauma now that I'm thinking about it.
A lot of, if you really think about it, churches like, and I am speaking particularly on the Catholic Church, like scary. Like it's like another. Not only is it like, I mean, if you get super like zealoty, right? Like like it can get like scary intense. Like I know some friends who have like like very very like evangelical type like intense church upbringings. They're like, it is crazy. Like people, like you will go to church and it's like expected that you like will speak in tongues. And it's this whole like exaggerated, like very, sometimes I think about it, it's like, that's kind of camp. That's like, okay, like is church like now a drag performance? Like, yeah,
church is now a drag.
If it has turned into that, I'm going back.
I will go back
sounds
to church.
Really fun.
But like, it's also like kind of horrifying this, another fear, but like, like this sort of like culty mentality that like some church environments, like my church where I grew up, I've said this on the record before, super culty, like super like hellfire brimstone, like you have to do this. Like, and I grew up in Ohio, which is not like, that very Southern evangelical, but like it felt very similar to that. It's
it's too much.
Yeah.
How do you do with gore in horror movies? Because I feel like that's the one thing that we have not talked about. It's like possession, bad. Slashers, good. But like true, like Hostel,
getting like
Saw.
gutted and all their intestines fall out.
My roommate and I were actually talking about this, how numb we are to certain things. Like we were talking about it. People are saying Squid Game is like super gory and like too intense. I was like, have you ever seen Hostel? Have you ever seen Saw? Like, this is child's play.
This is nothing.
There's nothing. The only thing that gets me is like the slow insertion of needles or like, you know, like a nail or something like that. Like in
So Home Alone. Home Alone.
Home Alone.
the first Quiet Place,
Yes.
where she's like on the step, that like the tension leading up to that, like I did not mind, spoiler alert for the Quiet Place, watching John Krasinski get slashed and like his guts go everywhere. I was like, whatever, that happens.
Yeah.
Watching her, like Emily Blunt, walk up and down the stairs and then like slam her foot on the nail, that I draw a line. I draw a line. And then what's the other one? Would You Rather with
Yes, Brittany Snow.
With Brittany Snow, when like the guy has to like take the razor blade to his eye. That part, I'm also like, ooh, I'm like, nope. But I can totally watch like the girl in whatever Saw movie it is, like get like sliced in half in front of like the public audience or whatever. Like that, I'm like, oh, that's nothing. Come on.
What's gonna happen?
Someone stepping on a nail? No.
I think it's because that probably wouldn't happen to you, like the public murder. I don't even remember which Saw movie that was. I've seen all of them. I'm actually a huge fan of the franchise, but I think it's like, oh, we could step on a nail. Like we've been around like razor blades. Like what if we were to just
that's
like
probably what it is.
I've done it.
It's horrible.
Tetanus.
Do you get tetanus shot? You got your shot?
I must have. I was a kid when it happened. I must have.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Cool. Yeah. It's all it's bad, but like it does happen, and I think that maybe is why we're like, oh, we know it.
Yeah, because it's like such like a glamorization and like it's so dramatic that it's like this is so unrealistic. I actually think Saw was my first, like one of my first introductions to horror. I know my first two movies that like got me hooked.
One.
Eight-Legged Freaks and then the Blob. Classics. I was so good, but it was the remake. It was the remake, not the one like the black and white one. It was the one that was like remade in the 80s, I think it is. Oh my gosh, it was like sci-fi horror movie marathon. I was sick. I was home from school. I said, "Let's get it going." And then Saw was like the next one that really like took me to new heights.
Yeah, right. And we're off.
I remember watching the trailer for Saw. I feel like it's just so interesting. Maybe you guys have experienced this, but like when I watched the trailer for Saw the first time, and it was a clip of Amanda being in the reverse bear trap, and they're like, go into the guy's stomach, get the key, whatever. I'm trying to do my voice, but I can't. I remember watching. Yeah, get the key. I can't do it. But watching it, and I remember feeling so sick to my stomach. I was like, oh my God, this is a movie. I can't believe that this is a film that like they made. Yeah. And then like I started watching it and I was like, I'm here for it. Like I'm gonna watch.
Sign me up.
And then
part of this.
I got so into that franchise, and it's so weird how your brain can be conditioned to be like, oh yeah, like
that's fine.
Someone's gonna get their guts ripped out.
Yeah.
That's just Tuesday.
And the choice of it always made me feel so sick. I'm like, what if I had to make that choice? And then I think I grew up and realized, no, you're not gonna.
I would never have to make that choice unless things got really, really dark.
Right.
Yeah, because only like bad people will get like pulled in to play the game anyway. Yeah. So,
well, sometimes. And
then like, it really stretched the definition of bad.
Yes,
it's like,
exactly.
You designed this building that burned down.
Like, what do you mean?
Like, there were some people who were like, oh, you like murdered, you like blame this person for like a murder that you did, and they went to jail and they killed themselves, and it was like a whole thing. I think that was like,
I think one of the most convoluted ones was, I forget which one it is, but he's like a health insurance broker or something like that. And and he's like, you denied like their dad, like their father and husband for health insurance, and now they get to decide if you live or die. I was like, okay, sometimes people just do not qualify for health insurance. Like, what do you want them to do?
The system is broken.
It's like
I'm gonna lose my job.
It's like in Drag Me to Hell.
Love that film.
She's like, I can't give you this loan. I like literally can't give you this loan. And then she gets like because she wasn't able to give her the loan. I'm like,
and look, I understand, like, capitalism is bad, whatever, like, et cetera, but it does feel like sometimes these people's hands are tied, and the commentary should not be murder that person. And it should maybe be, let's fix the system.
Let's dismantle capitalism.
Let's do something else. Let's not make this woman like go through the ringer before you eventually like drag her under to her
Right.
death. Great film though. Excellent movie.
The ending,
The best.
fantastic.
You're
Such a
like,
good movie.
she's fine. Oh, it's gonna be okay. And then no.
She's in that Barbie pink dress too.
Yeah.
So good. So good.
I recently rewatched it with my roommate, and I had not seen it for like ages, but it stuck in my mind as like, this was a good one. And I didn't realize how like campy and like silly it is. It's like a horror comedy. And I remember like telling my roommate, it's like, no, it's like really good. He's like, is this supposed to be a comedy? And I was like, I didn't remember it because I watched it when it probably was like when it first came out, and I was like, what, like probably like 12 or 13 or something like that. I was like, well, I don't remember this being a comedy, but as an adult, this is funny, but still good.
It is. It legitimately is. I mean, it's like the extreme, like vomit and like all of that stuff. It's like it's winking at you a little bit,
Yeah.
It's
when the
pretty
goat
good.
talks, that
Yeah,
part
Oh
killed
my
me.
god, I forgot about
There's
that.
a
when
lot
the goat
of-
talks.
There's a lot of like funny stuff in horror movies that I also think like I don't know if you guys felt this way, but like when I watched Scary Movie 3 when I was like a kid,
The best one. That is the best one.
Undeniably
Cindy,
the best one.
the TV's leaking.
It's so good.
This bitch is
so
messing up
good.
my floor.
My absolute favorite one.
Oh god.
Because it's also the movies that I love the most. It's Signs and The Ring. And I fucking love those movies. But I was afraid of it because I was like, oh, this is like, I knew it was supposed to be funny, but I was like, it's also supposed to be scary. And I was so afraid of The Ring for a long time.
The Ring's
I
a
thought
spooky
Scary
one.
Movie 3 was scary because you can see Samara better
Yeah,
in Scary Movie 3 than you could ever see her in The Ring.
that's true. You see like her whole face.
Her
She
whole
does funny
face, the whole
things.
thing. Yeah.
It's
I will
creepy.
rewatch that movie time and time again just for the fight scene between Brenda and Samara because I just
so
think
good.
it's like the boy who cried wolf stuff beforehand, and then like just the entire like that entire segment is just comedy gold. It's just like so good.
Regina Hall is
So
so
good.
funny. She's
Hilarious.
so good. She's a great like serious actress also, but oh my god, hilarious in that movie.
She and Anna Faris are like have
Amazing.
influenced my perspective on what is funny, like and what is
Yes.
comedy.
They're definitely underrated also, I feel like even now. So I just think that they need to get their flowers. This is me giving them their flowers. I'm sure to
we
listen
need
to this.
another, I kind of told myself that we as a society should be done with spoof movies because they got out of hand. But
Yeah.
I would be happy to see one more scary movie. I would.
Yeah.
One more that makes fun of elevated horror would be great. Like a
Ooh.
Midsummer.
Oh my god,
Like
one
Midsommar,
Hereditary,
Mm.
Get Out, Us, The Witch, The Lighthouse.
Yeah.
So
And like
good.
It Follows.
And
That
just
would
have
be
it
incredible.
have it be like, oh yeah, but like it's fine that you're dead because it's actually a commentary on like XYZ. And everyone's like,
Okay, thought though, for the commentary on It's Follows, Anna Faris's character, Cindy, thinks that she's being followed the entire time. It's just Brenda.
amazing.
It's just Brenda trying to get back to her.
Trying
the
to catch up
entire
to her.
time it's just Brenda trying to get back to her. And that's how they close this series, right?
Beautiful.
It's like our friendship, we're back together because let's be honest, we're watching for Cindy and Brenda.
my favorite line from
100%.
Scary Movie 4, which I don't know if anybody has seen, is when Cindy's like, Brenda, I thought you were dead. And she just goes, I thought you were
I
dead
didn't-
too. Moves on. Moves on.
Move
Oh,
on.
funny.
It's just so good.
But then
I love it so much.
Is it the second one where she's like, I thought you were dead? And she's like, I never got my death certificate.
Oh, yes. Wait, maybe that's it. Maybe that is the second one. Or maybe that's the third one. She
I don't know
dies in
which
like
one it
all
is.
of them.
Yeah,
but
Brenda always like Brenda's always
does
dead, but then
it
she
all.
comes back to life, and I'm like,
It's
this
great.
is amazing.
It's the best.
Cole, I have to ask you, you've got this thalassophobia, fear of big open water. You've got heights. You're a fellow sleep paralysis sufferer. Do you
Yes.
feel like you have conquered these fears in any way?
No. No, I think it's always I always like talking about them because whenever I talk about them, sometimes I'm like in a lot of ways it's like your own psyche just like, telling you like, oh, there's something wrong, when if you just take the time to, just calm and relax, right, you can realize, okay, maybe I'm just glamorizing this. However, if I do ever run into the sleep paralysis presence again, I'm not glamorizing that. I know that I will not wake up from that scenario. However, next time I'm in the ocean, I'll be like, there's no sharks here. I'm fine.
Maybe,
Yes.
possibly. Though.
We're not
We'll
we're not fucking with this sleep paralysis entity. We're not fucking around
Never.
with that one.
No,
No.
cleansing the space immediately after this conversation, just so that it doesn't get any good ideas.
I love that. Okay, so
Okay.
Cole, one final question for you, because
Yes.
you did say that you would roast our signs. I'm a Cancer. Monica, what sign are you? I forgot.
I'm a Libra.
Monica's a Libra.
Fun.
Okay, I want to hear a little bit of a roast, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So my favorite thing about Cancers is that they love to help everyone else, but they will never help themselves. They are like
Yeah.
it's really sweet, but then it's also like, girl, you've got some shit going on that you
Yeah.
should talk about before you try and tell me what's going on with my life. And we kind of talked about it earlier.
Monica, don't nod that deeply. Come
on. Cancers
She's right.
love just like those awkward moments where they'll just like, they'll be like, oh, scuttle away. Let me hide. Let me pretend that never happened. Please don't anyone ever speak to me again. And if you bring this up, I will absolutely start bursting in tears.
Yeah.
Cancers love that.
That's
me. That's me. It's a little scary, but it's me.
And what I love about Libras is Libras love to do this thing where they won't decide. However, they will like be so agitated if the person who decides doesn't pick what they wanted. For example, if it's like, hey, Libra friend, do you want to go to Taco Bell or Wendy's? And they would prefer Wendy's. And they're like, I don't know, you decide. It's like, okay, Taco Bell. Then they'll be like, I just won't eat. It's like, why didn't you just say you wanted Taco Bell? Or why didn't you just say you wanted Wendy's?
I'm sorry, I just won't eat.
I just won't eat. I just won't eat. It's like, what do you... Like, Libras are so, like, just love people-pleasing that they'll just go along with it, even if, like, it's not what they actually want. And I'm like, girl, please don't make this a big deal. Like, can you just tell me what you want to do and we will find a happy medium? Whereas Libra's just like, I don't know, you decide. I don't feel like it. But then when it's not what they wanted, they're like,
Yeah, that's also pretty accurate.
I like that though. Monica, I do sometimes choose things. So I'm gonna poke you to choose stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Be like,
sure.
Monica, are you happy here? Are you happy at this Taco Bell?
Yes.
Okay, wait, can you roast a Gemini really quick?
Yeah,
and then
you gotta roast yourself real quick.
Yeah,
just to
I'll roast
even the
myself.
playing
Just
field.
make it fair for everyone. I mean, where could I start? I can talk with start with the two-faced. I could talk about how Geminis don't know when to shut up. I can talk about how they love to start projects and never finish them. I could say how they think after reading a Wikipedia page, they think they're the master and they have this lovely PhD on whatever topic it is. There's so many things I could cover with Gemini. But I will just say, I recently posted a TikTok on this where I said, anyone with Gemini placements, if you were born with a Gemini placement, your soul chose to be annoying in this lifetime. And that's just the cross that you have to bear.
Sorry, not sorry.
And as the poster child Gemini, I'm allowed to say those things that we are. Listen, I'm the first one to say I can be a lot, I can be a little annoying, but that's what makes us fun.
Yes.
You're not annoying. You're very fun though.
And you're hilarious.
You're hilarious. And we've loved having you on the podcast, even though you roasted us, though we did ask for it. But yeah, can you plug your socials? Tell us where they can find you so they can get more of this amazing roasting and send it to all their friends, etc., etc.
If you want to be insulted based on a particular thing about you that you were born into and that you have no control over, you can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. All of my socials are jkitscole, all one word. I've got a podcast of my own where basically I just talk about arbitrary astrology topics. It's very similar to the vibe of today, where let's just bounce around and see what comes up. That's called Retrogrades and Shade. It's on Spotify. Apple Music won't let me on, so I guess it's just on Spotify for some reason. Too bad for them. You're missing out on amazing content. But yeah, all my socials are jkitscole, all one word. Come, have a good laugh with me.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This has been so fun. I wish you well with your fears. And like I said, don't look back at that thing. Don't look at
it. Never looking back, only forward.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us here today on Scaredy Chat. We hope you were a little scared and maybe a little relieved about your fears. And if you're having fun listening to this podcast, Please rate and review and subscribe so you never miss it and you're ready with us every week. And hey, make sure you follow us on social media. You can find us on Instagram at scaredychat_podcast. And maybe you have a fear and you're wondering if other people are afraid of it too? Well, we probably are, but you should email us your fears at story@scaredychatpod.com and maybe we'll talk about it on the show. Till next time, Scaredy Cats. Bye! Scaredy Chat was developed and hosted by Kaitlin Riley and Monica Moore-Suryagi. Produced by Jeff Swimmer. Editing and sound design by Fitz Harris. Theme music by Eric Fashingbauer with samples by Jeff Zahn and Jack Lenz. And Gail Gilman is the executive producer.